All right, welcome back to Flight Sim 2020 and welcome back to our Australia to South Africa kind of tour in the A2A Comanche 250. This is, of course, leg 5 of the tour, and we're on the ground here at a very windy day here in Meekatharra where we landed in the previous episode. And for today's episode, I've kind of changed what we're doing slightly. So in previous episodes, I said we were just going to head almost straight north across Australia up to the coast near Papua New Guinea as quickly as possible. But I've decided that maybe what we should actually be doing is visiting or doing a bit of sightseeing and visiting some of the landmarks in each of the countries that we pass through. So we can't really go through Australia without, one, seeing a kangaroo, and two, going past Uluru. So that's what we're going to be doing now. So we're going to be heading west. We had to cover that distance anyway. So instead of going north and then west along the coast, we're going to go west along the middle of Australia and then head north up to Papua New Guinea. So that's what we're going to be doing. The other reason for doing that, if we have a look at the map, you'll see there's this band of clouds right along this section of Australia, so we're going to keep out of that. As you can see, it's really clear where we are now, so we're going to stay just south of those clouds so we don't run into any IFR issues. But that whole weather system is creating a lot of wind. It is actually very windy here anyway, so we're going to try and keep out of that as much as we can. So today's flight is going to be a little bit longer than the others because there isn't all that much around where we're flying now. So it'll be in the next leg that we get to see some of the landmarks. Hopefully we can spot a kangaroo from the air. But so this will probably have quite a bit of some time-lapse cruising along because I don't want to sit here and have to talk for 4.5 hours. So we'll see how it goes. But this also is an opportunity to kind of stretch the legs of the Comanche, get a feel for how far we can actually fly in these kind of conditions. And use up the tip tanks as well. So I've filled it up completely so that we can make this kind of longer leg. So we are going from here at Meekatharra, obviously, to MountDavies Airport, which is almost directly east. I think I said west. I meant east. We're going east and then north. So yeah, that's the plan for today. Let's jump aboard and start getting things ready. So I actually haven't done anything yet. So we're gonna have to get our tablet. And then I just wanna check. Yeah, so we need to top this up with fuel. I wonder if I can do this while I fill it up. Cool, that's better. Okay, we've still got the same weights in there, so that's good. And then we need to do our walk around. So, no, first we should go and start off the checklist and detect the temperature. 27, so it's actually not too bad, but yeah, it's quite windy. The wind is blowing almost straight down the runway, which is good. So we shouldn't have any issues on takeoff. We're pretty much facing the same direction as the runway, so we're looking at about 2 knots crosswind. It is kind of gusty. You'll see this jump up and down though. So that's going to be the biggest issue, but at least it's pretty much on the nose. Right. Okay, so we're going to do our pre-flight, which means we're going to jump out and do the walk around. So let's go and do exactly that. What we should probably do here is just open this up, get some hot air in here as well. Okay, so we can check our flaps. Nothing's sticking, no weird noises. Staying there, that's nice and free. Make sure that we have our fuel in here. That should be full up, and that looks good. Okay, check the fuel. And that seems to be clear of water. Okay, lights, we won't check now because obviously they're off. Okay, tie downs are removed. And this should be full up as well. So 90 gallons in the Comanche, and we've filled it up as much as possible. Okay, chocks are removed. Let's see. Now this one doesn't always give us fuel. Okay, it's working this time. I still don't actually know what causes it to work or not. Okay, just check that everything's clear here and there's no damage to the prop. That looks cool. Okay, oil's going to be kind of important. It was, I think last time, if I remember. I know we changed it last time, so I mean that actually looks perfectly fine. Cool. Okay, and then also double check we're full up here. Good stuff. Chocks, tie downs, and pitot heat we still need to test. Okay, last fuel tank also full. So obviously 30 and 30 in the main tanks, 15 and 15 in the tip tanks. Okay, test that fuel. Okay, make sure that this is clear. Okay, make sure that's clear. And then check all of this. It seems a little bit jumpy there in the middle, but I think it's okay. Yeah, I reckon that's fine. We'll check this as well. Okay, that's cool. That's clear. Baggage is all already loaded. So we'll go back in and then quickly let's turn on the master and do all the lights and the pitot heat. Okay, so that's working. It's still cold, we'll give that some time to heat up. Those are definitely working. Okay, that's on, and we can even see the strobes on the floor. And that one's on. So it's just this guy. Cool, that's good. And there we can see the strobes as well anyway. Okay, so let's turn all of those off rather than draining the battery. And come back here. So passengers, we don't have seatbelts set, control lock is removed, parking brake is set, gear switch down. Check. Flaps up, radio's off, autopilot off, all of those are off, circuit breakers, nothing popped out. Nope, that's good. Autopilot master, oh no, I already done that. Rotating beacon is on. Cool. Okay, so next we can fire up the engine. Let's get the door closed. Right, need to click this one first. Get that latched. We don't have so much wind noise. Okay, fuel selector. We're currently on the left tank. That's fine because they're all full. And then I think what I'm going to do is burn the tip tanks first. So we'll take off on the left tank and then 15 minutes we'll switch over to the right hand tip tank, do half an hour there, half an hour on the left tank. I think that should work. And we'll keep doing that until the tip tanks are done and then back to the mains. Okay, desired tank, cool. Mixture. Throttle cracked. Prop, pull forward. Right, then we need to turn on our fuel pump and check that we get fuel pressure. That is coming up, so that's cool. Give it a bunch of primes. Okay, mags to both.
Clear prop.
And let's see, hopefully actually starts up nice and easily. Okay, it took a little bit longer than I expected, but we have a good start. Okay, lean it out nicely. Right, oil pressure's coming up, fuel pressure's up, oil temperature's up, battery is charging. Okay, prime is locked. We can now turn on the avionics and the radios. So let's get all of these things on, and we'll get this guy here on as well. And flip that over to the timer so we can use that for our fuel changes or tank changes. Okay, that's cool. Okay, we refueled to 90, so let's apply that. That's good. This is very dark. I changed this in the previous episode when we were flying at night. How did I do that? There we go. Okay, so that's good. Right, we are going to be flying airways today, but I think we're just going to do it VFR. We're just kind of using that as our navigation. And the headphones are in, which is cool. We don't need pitot heat or anything at the moment. Right, so let's carry on here. That's done, that's done. Altimeter. We are 16, 17-ish. Okay, heading indicator. Right, we need to double check that. Oh geez, what did I just spin here? Put that back. Right, so we're almost bang on east. Wow, this is actually pretty close. Cool, that's done. And we'll set our course to match pretty much, and our heading as well, because we're basically lined up with the runway. We'll just do double check that once we get onto the runway itself. Okay, landing gear lamp is green, which is always very difficult to see. Okay, nav lights are on, parking brake released. Well, release the parking brake and check the brakes. Cool, that's good. And we'll do our run up at the runway. So let's make our way out to the runway. So as you can see, we're a little bit offset from the runway, so I will just tweak those headings and things once we actually get to the runway itself. Wish I could actually put this tablet on this window. Anyway, it's not the end of the world. Okay, let's do lights. I will do transponder as well. Probably should have actually done my run up there on the taxiway, because I don't know if there's a little turn off thing at the end of the runway. I can't remember. I don't think there is actually. Okay, no, it looks like there might be. Okay, temperature in here is pretty hot. Let's see if I can get this right again. So this is the vent. That's the heat. This is the vent as well. Get some air in here. Not that it's going to make much difference at this point because it's just hot air that's coming in. Okay, so I reckon we're at 2,700 now. I think we go up to about 7,500 feet. We'll see what the air is like. Hopefully, there's not too much turbulence. Okay, I can actually line these up while we're here, just in the opposite direction. Look at that windsock. Why is this off? That's worrying. Everything else is running. These are also off. Oh, I think something might have gone wrong with the electrics. Okay, that's a bit strange. A circuit breaker. Did I pop the circuit breaker when I was doing lights, or did that pop out by itself? Let's reset our timer as well. Okay, I gotta keep an eye on that. Because if that pops again on its own, then something is wrong. Okay, position into the wind, brakes, fuel, we've got plenty. On the left tank, mixture. Let's bring the mixture up, go to 2,000 RPM. Okay, obviously parking brake isn't on. Interesting. Okay, 2,000 RPM. Just check everything down here. That all looks good. That's good. Okay. Cool, so and push this up a little bit. Back to 2,000. Right, so we want to see a drop of less than 125. So that's fine. And so is that. Cool, and they're pretty much exactly the same, so Maximum difference of 50 is all good. Okay, at 1800, check everything. Check that everything is stable. Carb heat, we get the drop. Right. Okay, I think we are good to go then. So that's all done before takeoff. Controls, good. Elevator trim, neutral. Rudder trim is also neutral. Doors latched. Flaps, we're gonna do no flaps takeoff. Fuel pump on. Fuel selector left. Mixture, full rich. Engine gauges are good. Carb heat is off. Strobes and landing lights are on. Pitot heat we don't need. Okay, rotate at 85, we climb out at 105. Keep an eye out for emergency landing areas. It's kind of open out here, so we should have plenty of options for emergency landing. Okay, fuel pump off at 1,000 feet. Power reduced to 2424 at 1,000 feet. Keep an eye on the cylinder head temperatures. There's 80. There's 85. And there's 105. Runway is gone, so let's do gear up. A few spaces to land if needed. Coming up to 1,000 feet. Okay, fuel pump off. 24 on the manifold and 2400 RPM. And then just balance those out again. And we're slowly turning right to intercept our GPS course. Okay, I'm gonna get the autopilot on, it's just so I don't have to worry while I do some checks. Okay, that is set to GPS. Okay, I'm gonna close some of these just for the noise. Okay, temperatures are looking good. Okay, why did we not intercept the GPS course? Interesting. Okay, we're climbing nicely. Around 1,000 feet a minute is perfect. Let's come down here and see. 90 degrees is what we want, which is pretty much what we're on. Okay, that's cool. We're slowly turning to intercept now. This is worrying me, saying that we're going to take 7 hours to get to our destination, so that's something we're going to need to keep an eye on. Okay, I'm going to turn the landing lights off now. Okay, it looks like we're intercepting the GPS course, so that's good. Okay, that's the other thing I wanted to check, is just have a look at the temperature inside here. Yeah, so it's pretty cold. Amazing, 27 degrees on the ground. We're only 5,500 feet and we're down to 14. Keep an eye on that, otherwise everything's looking good. Except for that. I've got a long way to go. So Flight Sim's planner said, I think it was just under 4 hours. We aren't obviously at cruise speed, we're going to cruise a lot faster, so that is playing a role for sure. Okay, there's 6,000 feet. If that's going to be an issue, I think I'm actually going to go higher. We might be able to get a bit better efficiency. So let's do 9.5. We're not going to go much higher than that because then we'd need oxygen. Okay, we can start leaning out here. It was a little bit too far. But that'll improve our fuel consumption a lot. So if we look here now, we have an endurance of 7 hours now at this fuel flow. So even if we need to do just over 6 hours, we've actually got enough fuel to do that. aircraft is nice and coordinated. We're on our GPS track. Right, just over 7 hours endurance and just over 6 hours to go according to the GPS. But yeah, I'm expecting that to come down quite a bit. We're probably looking at about, it might actually be a bit longer than 4 hours. But it could also be the wind. We've got 15 knots on the nose. There we go. That's our biggest issue there. We're going to go up to 9,500 feet. We're just coming through 7,250. Temperatures all look good for the cylinders. We're at 13 minutes. Oh, there, cylinder 5. It just started running a bit hot. So I'll just put in a bit of mixture to bring that temperature down. It's going to increase our fuel burn. Sure, it's running quite hot. Okay, there it's come down to a better temperature, but look at our fuel. We've lost like almost 2 hours of endurance just by adjusting that mixture like that. Okay, so I'm going to keep tweaking that. We're coming up to our 15 minutes now. So I can switch tanks. Okay, so we might as well flip this over. Okay, so let's go onto the right hand tip tank, which is that one. Okay, getting a bit hot here. I'm just going to set a timer for 30 minutes. Also, I realize I'm not looking outside very much for our VFR flying. Okay, so 30 minutes we'll flip over to the left-hand tip tank. Okay, I can lean the mixture a little bit more. Okay, so cruise is just throttle, prop, mixture, fuel pump off, which it is, and then check our gauges. So we can put that away. Coming up to, we're just passing through 9,000 feet, so 9.5 is coming up shortly. altitude. And I'm gonna bring the prop back a bit to reduce the noise. Just have to keep adding a bit of nose down trim as the aircraft speeds up now that we've leveled off. Okay, bring the mixture back. What are we looking for endurance now? Almost 8 hours, and as the speed's coming up, we're just over 4 hours to destination, so now things are looking pretty good. Let's just get our tablet back and check temperatures. Pretty good, pretty good. Pretty much want it to stay exactly where it is now. Oh, that's getting colder, that's why. There we go. That'll work. Yeah, so this says 9,000. How do I change my cruise level in here? Okay, there we go. So 65 miles to go to Walloona, and then 337 to this waypoint, and then another 143 after that. There we go. So the plan is we head out to MountDavies, and then in the next episode we can go check out Ayers Rock or Uluru, and hopefully in that area, I think it's like a national park or something around there, but in that area we should be able to spot some kangaroos as well. So we have to do some low and slow stuff and see if we can see some kangaroos. And as we go through the other countries, I'll try and take us past some of the cool landmarks and sites that are worth seeing as we go along, just to make it a little bit more interesting. So it's not just a case of let's ferry this aircraft to South Africa as soon as possible. We're actually making it into a bit of a journey, which is cool. Right, but otherwise everything's in the green. All looking good. Looking at about around 4 hours to go from now to MountDavies. So that's a better number. Almost 7 hours was a bit much. And our endurance says 745. So we got a good 3 hours reserve fuel according to our computer. So this is the kind of thing I want to test as well, is just see. because I was expecting about 5 hours. Like at this burn, it's saying we can go for another 3 on top of that. So yeah, I don't want to plan a route that's going to take 8 hours only to find out we can only do about 5 or 6. So this will be a decent indication to fly for about just under 4.5 hours and see what kind of fuel levels we have left at the end. If I check the wind again, I think we still have a bit of a nose wind. Yeah, 15 knots on the nose, that's rough. And the other thing I was going to say, I believe in some aircraft, when you switch tanks, you should turn on the fuel pump. I don't know if you're supposed to do it in the Comanche. I haven't done it, and I've never had any issues. So, I don't know. It seems fine without turning the fuel pump on. But anyway, I think at this point, I'm going to leave it to cruise for a bit. I've got my timer set. So we've got another 22 minutes, and then I'll check back in 22 minutes to switch fuel tanks again. So I'll see you in just a bit. Okay, so it's about time to switch tanks. We've been going for 45 minutes, and we're actually directly over this Walloona airport, which is pretty cool. Well, almost. It's over there. Okay, so let's come down here and we'll flip to that tip tank and then flip that to off. Okay, so we should have seen that gone down and that should still be full. Right. Okay, so still looking at over 7 hours endurance. Cruising along nicely, 3 hours and 40 minutes to go to our destination. Let's grab the tablet, have a look at the temperature, which is good. And wind is still 13, 14 knots. Headwind, so we're gonna have to deal with that probably all the way. But no clouds in view. There's one tiny little cloud over there. So I tried to include some, or have the route follow near some airports, just in case we needed to divert for whatever reason. And this was the point that was furthest away, so I just dropped Walloona in as a waypoint. Alright, otherwise altitude is good, coordination is good, speed's good. At least it's pretty smooth. Nice day for flying. Even though it's windy, there's a little kind of bouncing up and down, but very slight. Like that. It's not gonna really bother you. Could have been a lot worse. But then again, it's not as hot as it was for the first few legs. We were in the 40s. Okay, so let me just make sure my next timer is running, which it is. So we'll come back and then, I mean, how much fuel did we use in the right tip tank? A quarter. So we can do that again. That should take us down to half. So gonna have to do that a couple of times before we drain the tanks, which is perfect. This must be Walloona down here. Okay, so just passed over Walloona. 3.5 hours to go. Sure, outside, what are we? 4, 3.5 degrees. Around 3 degrees. Okay, so our cabin heating is actually doing quite a bit of work. Alright, so I think we'll cruise along for a bit then, and again, I'll check in when it's time to switch tanks. I'm keeping an eye on the aircraft, so if anything does go wrong, I should be able to see. But yeah, we've been going for around an hour now. Because remember, this reset, so it's about, my recording time is just over an hour, so another 3.5 to go. So I'll check in with you in about just under half an hour's time. Okay, so progress is looking good. That's come down to about 3 hours, which makes perfect sense because it's been about 30 minutes. If we look, So these should be pretty similar. So maybe what I should do at this point... No, I think it's fine. We're going to flip back to the right-hand tank. Like so. And now we should see this one coming down. So probably get it to about the middle point. Okay, double checking everything else. 645 endurance. Everything is in the green. Cabin temperature. Bang on. Little bit of cloud out in the distance there. Maybe just the edge of that weather system. But nothing that's going to bother us. So my time is set again for 30 minutes. The other thing I wanted to do is just realign. We're heading almost pretty much the same as we were when we aligned it this morning. So we basically just have to do this. About there, because that's directly east. Oh no, wrong way. We're at there. That looks good. A little bit of bumps every now and then. Again, nothing too serious. We're going to check the wind. Still quite a significant nose wind. Headwind. Okay, trim's good. Coordination's good, speed's good. We could probably go a bit faster. Okay, so our endurance is now 540 and we'll let the speed come up a little bit more. Yeah, we still got plenty, even though we're burning a bit more fuel, still got plenty on. We're about 3 hours extra fuel. Alright, so everything's looking good. And we can cruise on for another half an hour or so. Right, next check-in. So this should be around 2.5 hours, which it is. And we're down to a quarter there. That we've used more than I thought we would have. Because there we've gone down 2 notches. Oh, but we're burning faster because we increased the power. So let's go to the left tip tank again. Oh, that's quite a big difference because the first half an hour on this tip tank, we only burned 1 notch. Now we've burned 2 notches there. But yeah, probably just because we are going a bit faster. Speed's picked up a little bit. We're looking at 2 hours 20. Everything else is looking good. Flight time of around just under 2 hours now. And another 220 to go. Okay, coordination looks good. Altitude's good. Temperatures are good. Let's check cabin temperature. That's perfect. Wind is still headwind. Okay, we've still got plenty of fuel, so we're predicting it's just over 5 hours endurance. We've got 2 hours 20 left to go. We're on this tank now. So another half hour should get us down to there, and then we're going to switch over to the main tanks. So we'll keep that 1/4 as reserves. Okay, we're still heading pretty much exactly east. So we can line that up. Trim's good. Everything is looking good. Set the timer for another 30 minutes. And then at that point, we should be down to a 1/4 tank on the left. And then we're going to switch over to the right-hand tank. We'll do half an hour there. So another half an hour, we should be just under 2 hours remaining. I think maybe we might even run an hour on this tank and then do the rest on that because we've already done kind of 20 minutes there. But I'll see when we check in again, have a look at how much fuel we've got or how much time we've got so we can run that full tank. Alright, I'll check in again in half an hour. Okay, next check. We're just under 2 hours, so that makes perfect sense. We're almost empty on that tank, so let's flip over now to the right-hand main tank, which is this one here. Okay, so consumed a little bit more again than I expected. So we should have been around a quarter, but we're almost empty. So we've got a little bit of kind of reserve fuel in our right-hand tip tank and a tiny bit in the left. Okay, coordination looks good, speed's good, altitude's good. Everything is in the green. That circuit breaker hasn't flipped again, so... or popped, I mean. So it might have actually just been me that clicked on it while I was doing something else. Okay, 2.5 hours in. We've got about 1 hour and 49 minutes left. Okay, so on the right-hand main tank, let's set the timer again for 30 minutes. I think I'm going to do 1 hour. Because that'll mean we can do the last kind of 40 minutes on this tank, which will kind of balance them out pretty much. It's starting to get a little cloudy. So I wonder if that weather system is moving south. It doesn't look like it's going to interfere with our flight at all, but definitely a little bit of cloud appearing there, and the shadows across the panel means we're getting into the late afternoon. Yeah, so about 100 miles to go to that waypoint, and then it's 130 miles, I think, from there. Go back to the flight plan, 143. So still quite a bit to go, but we're going to do 1 hour on that tank. Hopefully this weather doesn't close into the point where it becomes an issue, but those clouds are pretty high as well. It's kind of like those higher up clouds pushing in the front of that weather system, so maybe it is heading south then. Or it could be the tail end, I guess. Okay, let's... the last thing we can do is just sync up again. That. Right. All looking good. And the Cherokee's been really nice and smooth on this flight. All good. Just cruising along. Temperature inside is good. You see, our headwind's even worse now. Okay, so we're going to keep pushing along for about another hour, and so the next check-in we'll probably start prepping for our descent and arrival. Check out the airport. I don't think there's any instrument procedures or anything for the airport anyway. It's just going to be a standard visual approach, and hopefully none of this cloud becomes a factor. Okay, so I'll see you in about an hour. Alright, so we're just under 30 minutes out from the airport. As you can see, it is now dark, which is a bit of a concern. I'm just gonna flip tanks. Okay, so we're just under halfway there. We should end up fairly close. Maybe we're gonna not use quite as much on this tank. Okay, then we need to do alignment. So there's a bunch of things we need to do to get ready. So we are a little bit over. So we need to be something like that. Okay, that's better. I pushed up the RPM just to try and speed up because we want to get there with as much light as possible. As you can see, the sun has already set, but there's a little bit of light still coming, and we have a nice full moon as well, so we can see the ground, because I don't think this airstrip is lit. So that's going to be my main concern, is can we actually see the airstrip and land there? If not, we've got enough fuel. So I think the solution at that point is we push on to Aerosoft Airport, which I believe has an instrument approach. In fact, let me check that out. It's not too far from here. Right. It does have, it's got RNAV for runway 13 and RNAV and NDB for runway 31. Okay, so I think that's what we would do if we can't see this airport. And in fact, I'm actually going to dial in. The VOR next to that is 117.1. So we're picking that up. Cool. And in fact, what I'm going to do is dial it in here. On nav 2. Just so we can get that distance reading. .172 miles, so it's pretty far. But I think we would be able to make that. We've still got a good 3 hours, so I think we'll be fine. So yeah, it is now a bit darker than I expected. And also we're underneath the clouds, so definitely that weather system is, we're kind of on the edge of that now. At least the clouds are high enough that I don't think they're gonna bother us at all. Okay, so that's all done. We've got about 60 miles to go. And 26 minutes. Okay, so we need to, if I just look, this airport isn't actually on Navigraph. So if we go here, is that the right airport? Why does it say Alice Springs? Okay, 625 feet. So that means we need to be at 1,600 feet. And we're at 9,500. So... Okay, so we're at 9.5. We need to descend to 1,600, if that's correct, which means we need to lose 7,900 feet. And if we do that at 1,000 feet a minute, let's call it 8,000 feet, so that's 8 minutes to descend. So at about 10 minutes out, I'll start our descent. We're now 24. Okay, we still got some reserve fuel tank. We still got some reserve fuel in the tip tanks. I think we'll have enough to get to AirRock Airport if we have to. It's still fairly light, even though it is past sunset. I mean, we can clearly see the ground. There's a little bit of residual light. If we're getting under any thicker clouds, that's going to be a big issue, though. But for now, I think we're okay. Switch this off. It's a bit easier to see outside, and we can use this one. At this level of light, it actually doesn't make that much of a difference. Okay, so we're on course. The speed's good. We've dropped quite a bit of speed actually. So I think the headwind has gotten worse. And let's actually check. Okay, we're 23 degrees inside. Yeah, 23 knots on the nose. That's rough. Oh, then earlier I felt like the windows might be misting up. So our defog is this one. Think the windows would be misting up. What's the outside temperature is like 3 degrees. Is that clearing up? I don't think so. Is that making the temperature go up? Yeah, a lot. Okay, so I don't think it's that. I think it was just a bit hazy from the weather. Okay, 50 miles, 22 minutes. Let's get this back. Okay, so we only need to do checks again once we get onto the approach. Now, this airport does not have any procedures at all. Okay, which is what we expected, so it's going to be purely visual. 161 miles from AIRAC. So if we're going to AIRAC, we're landing later tonight. So, but that's okay, because if we've got instrument procedures like that, then the runway must be lit. I don't think this runway has lights. Okay, 20 minutes, 21 minutes. Yeah, to be honest, I'm glad I did this longer flight, because it's gonna give me a good idea of how much fuel we actually have. We've had a massive headwind throughout the entire flight as well, so that means every kind of reading that I get is going to be a bit cautious. But yeah, I don't think for the sake of the videos that this is the best kind of flight to do. This is probably going to be one of the least or the less interesting videos to watch, because most of it is just cruising along. Although it might be getting a bit more intense now with the clouds building and the fact that it's at night and we might have to divert. But I think after this I'll stick to doing the shorter routes. There probably are going to be stints like this later on. if I'm thinking about like Northern Africa, where we're just flying over desert and stuff like that, it's probably easier to just knock out a 4 or 5 hour flight than try and skip to all these tiny little airports along the way that are going to be very similar. Also depends on the weather though. So, as always with all of the flights in this series, it's always real world weather and real time. Okay, just coming up to 4 hours flight time now. Oops. Clouds are definitely getting worse, but still nice and high level. So again, I think we're just entering the edge of that weather system, but it's going to be above us, so not a big deal. Endurance currently is 3 hours. Got about 18 minutes left if we can get to this airport. Thought about diverting to Warburton, which is about probably half an hour behind us, but I still think we might. No, I still think we've got a decent chance of getting in at this airport. It just means the MountDavies airport area looked pretty interesting. It just means we're not really going to see any of that, because so far it's been pretty flat. I think there's a bit of terrain around there. If we look at the GPS, you can see nothing crazy, but we're changing from this dark green into the more yellow brown higher elevation. If I can't see the ground, we are not going anywhere near the airport, because there are some hills and ridges around it, and there's no charts. Out. couple of airports around here. Blackstone. Oh, Warburton actually has an Arno. Interesting. So yeah, it's 100 miles back. Ayers Rock has got Arno. Here's some of these smaller airports around here. See, it looks like you go through this kind of valley here. There's some ridges around there. So yeah, that's why we need to be able to see outside. Looks like the clouds might be a little thicker up ahead. It could just be the angle as well. Yeah, we can at least see the ground. It's like a full moon pretty much. Once we get further west in the world, so that's still going to be a while, because I'm now actually heading east, but it'll be easier for me to fly with real time and all of that and not have to land at night, because I mean it's midday here in South Africa and it's already dark in Australia. So for these flights I either have to start at like midnight or early in the morning. This flight I started at about probably 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it was about 8 o'clock, and then 4 hours later it's dark. So yeah, I've been recording for 4.5 hours. It's 12 o'clock, so it's about 7:30 when I started. So that's another reason why the shorter flights work. If we'd done a 2-hour flight, it would have still been light. Just double check the fuel. So we are on the left hand tank and that is coming down. Okay, about 11 minutes out. Okay, I reckon we start our descent because I'm gonna keep the speed up as we go. So I want to aim for about 1,000 feet per minute descent. Okay, I think I'm going to turn on the landing lights now as well as we're descending. And just keeping an eye on the speed. Okay, so we want to aim for 1,600 feet, but just keep an eye on the terrain around us as well. See that ridge out there, and there's a little bit of terrain out on that side as well. Wonder what that light is out there. Oh, that must be that little town, a little airstrip there too. About to come through 7,600 feet. We're pretty much bang on 1,000 feet per minute descent and keeping our speed just within the green arc. Now, I don't know what runways they have at this airport, again, because there's no charts. So we might have to do a bit of a visual check, but I want a runway that's facing east. Because the wind has been blowing from in front of us the whole day. So no charts means no weather. There isn't even a weather report for Ayers Rock. I tried to check that too. But since the wind has been going the same direction the entire flight, I think it's pretty safe to assume that the wind is from the east at this airport as well. Some quite significant terrain over there. Out there it seems to get pretty high. Yeah, so those lights must be that little town because it's 9 o'clock from us now. Minutes out. Patch of lights over there. I wonder if that's the town for this airport. The terrain seems a bit high here. Look, even that. The lights have now disappeared behind the terrain. So I don't know how realistic 1,600 feet is in this area, unless we need to clear this ridge. See, I don't see anything in front of the airstrip. I think I'm gonna level off here a bit. So only 3 minutes out. Yeah, see, I think we're seeing this. We need to be just other side that. Okay, so we'll hold our altitude at 3.5. Some roads in there, you can just see the lights. Okay, I'm gonna go heading mode just so we can dodge this high terrain. See if this helps at all. I think it actually does a little bit. Okay, I think I can see the strip. It's that over there. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's definitely it. I actually need the light back now because I need to do this. I'm just getting a cold warning there for the engine, so I'm going to just do a bit of carb heat. Even though I don't think it's just because we throttled back and stuff. Okay, so it is just a dirt strip, but plenty of visibility, so I'm not worried about that. looks like we will be able to successfully make it in, yeah, for sure. Wow, that's actually very light outside. Full moon probably playing a big role in that. Doesn't feel like this airport is at 600 feet. I'm not sure that that was correct. Because it feels like we're at a decent altitude here, possibly even too low, and we're still at 3,000. Okay, I'm gonna go flaps 1. The gear down. Passing the threshold now. A little bit of an overshoot, but we also, that wind is going to be quite a solid crosswind, so let's pay attention to that. Yeah, I can definitely feel it pushing us to the left. A little high. And let's see, I don't think this airstrip is at 625 feet. It's actually quite rough. Yeah, 2,000 feet, basically. I think there was like a little place to park behind us. Yeah, there's a little building back there. Yeah, we can get the flaps up. Yeah, this strip is actually quite rough. Okay, but welcome to MountDavies. And that means that in the next episode, we'll be able to check out Ayers Rock and hopefully some kangaroos. All of that provided that the weather holds out, because if this storm system is moving south and we get covered in clouds here, we're not going to be able to see anything. But I think I'm probably going to wait for a day where the weather is suitable for that kind of flying. Here we are. Let's just find a place to park here. Doesn't appear appear to be like a specific taxiway or anything. Hopefully this bucky is not gonna drive into us. Okay, cool. Okay, so now that we're off the runway, we can, well, no, actually we need the landing light so we can turn the strobes off. The one thing I always forget to do for landing is turn the fuel pump on. Because once I take manual control, it becomes quite difficult to go through the whole checklist thing. And then I forget the fuel pump. Oh, he just turned his lights on, which means he's going to drive around again. He's gonna go that way. Oh no, coming all the way around. But we are gonna park up here somewhere anyway. Okay, so parking brake is set, engine is shut down. Let's switch off the landing lights. We can turn the key back. These guys we can switch off. And then avionics and autopilot. And I guess we might as well check here. After landing, so flaps are done, strobes are done, fuel pumps done, mixture. Oh, trim. Need to do that. Like so. Parking brake, radios, transponder, well it's off now. Avionics, and then master switch, throttle, mixture, magnetos, control wheel. So we can switch that off. And then do that. Right. And we might as well stow that. And there we are, arrived at MountDavies. It's actually pretty light, and I think it's all to do with the full moon. But that's going to bring us to the end of this video. That means in the next video, we'll be checking out Ayers Rock and hopefully some kangaroos as well. Hopefully the rough kind of landing strip here hasn't kind of put any wear and tear on the aircraft, so we'll go through a nice careful walk around before we depart in the morning. But again, that's going to bring us to the end of this video. Yeah, probably not the best style of video for the or probably not the best style of flight for the video purposes, so I'll see from now on if we can possibly stick to some shorter flights again. But yeah, we're gonna have to do this again at some point just because of the kind of areas that we are crossing. But anyway, if you made it all the way to this part of the video, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And if you want to follow along with the journey, you know what to do down below, and I'll see you in the next one.